Get an award-winning start to your day with the Nassau Morning Madhouse. Named Best Morning Show at the 2023 Intercollegiate Broadcasting System Awards.
The voice of Nassau Community College.
This is the award-winning 90.3 WHPC HD Garden City.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Play WHPC.
And available on Odyssey, TuneIn, iHeart, and on the WHPC app.
90.3 WHPC.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have
90.3 WHPC. Welcome to another edition of From the Press Box right here. My name is Rob Leonard. Joining me, of course, is award-winning sports writer, and yes, my brother Timothy, who's remote today, not feeling well, a little under the weather. And I've always said to Timothy, if you're under the weather, don't get me sick. So, how you doing, brother?
I'm not getting you sick, brother.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
I'm decent.
You sound horrible, but we'll take it. That's why we do radio, and we're glad you're okay. And at least you can do the show.
Sacrifices I make for the show.
I agree. Next week, brother. You know what next week is?
No.
Besides our sister's birthday.
Suzanne's birthday. That's what I know.
Yeah. Well, next week is our anniversary show, our 9th anniversary show.
Oh, all right.
Are we going to get any special guests, brother?
Who knows, brother? We'll work on it. How about that?
Okay.
No, I'm not ready to make any kind of big announcements.
Okay. There have been regulars. I don't know if they want to come on, but there have been regulars. So we'll see. We'll see if they maybe can make it. If not, I understand. It's Memorial Day, and I have to work that day anyway. So later on.
There you go. See, it's a tough ask, brother. It's a tough ask for everybody. We'll be lucky if you show up next week.
I'll be here, of course. I don't miss shows. I don't miss shows. Anyway, brother, we play Meet the Mets because the Mets have pulled their fans away from the edge of the ledge. And I know you want to start off with the Yankees.
Because the Yankees are the hottest team in baseball, brother.
But the Mets have won, 5 in a row now?
5 in a row.
They're over 500?
The Mets are up there with the second hottest team in baseball, probably.
Yeah, so... Well,
they're both impressive. Here's the thing, brother. Just last week, even more so 2 weeks ago.
Right.
When we were talking about the playoffs, and here our 5 New York teams were all in the playoffs, and it was taking all our attention. And at that point, the New York baseball results, let's say, were not going so well. No,
they actually picked a great time to be unsuccessful.
Well, I mean, the Yankees had injuries and the Mets weren't hitting, and there were reasons for what was going on, but it wasn't a positive. But in the last for the Yankees, it's more than 2 weeks now because they're 14-6 in May, which is the best record in Major League Baseball.
Right.
And for the Mets, I'll say the last week, because they've won their last 5 in a row, and they're finally hitting, and the pitching has gotten to the point now where it will win them games instead of losing them games. David Peterson had an atrocious several starts. And who knows, as far as, possibly costing himself a major league spot, or maybe forcing the Mets into trading him at some point, because it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to get it done here. Might need to change the scenery. But yesterday was a perfect example of the Steve Cohen Mets. You have a $43 million pitcher starting the opener in Max Scherzer and throwing 6 scoreless innings in a game that the Mets would eventually win 5-4, but only because struggling Starling Marte hit a home run in the 8th inning to give the Mets the lead. And then in the nightcap, another $43 million a year pitcher, this one Justin Verlander, pitched 8 innings, gave up 1 run on 3 hits, and they both pitched like what they're paid to be, and that's really a first, because Scherzer had struggled and had his 10-game suspension because of the sticky stuff, and Verlander missed the first month because of an injury and was just okay in his first couple starts of the season, but yesterday was pretty much the dominant guy that you expect. Even though he's 40, I mean, you have to remember that you don't just pitch at that level forever. So it's entirely possible that, be it this year or next year, that Justin Verlander isn't going to be the same guy he has been for, much of the last, say, at least 15 years. So, but, for right now, it's encouraging. It's encouraging for the Mets that they were able to sweep the Guardians and to get, especially on the offensive side, to get enough runs and enough clutch runs and clutch hits that, they've been able to put a 5-game winning streak together.
Yeah, we like that, brother. It's a good, this past week is there's now forgiveness for the previous couple of weeks before that. As Met fans sometimes,
I don't know about that. I don't know if there's going to be forgiveness until the Mets, come within striking distance of the Braves. They're still 5 or 5.5 games back.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that right now. I'm worried. I'm worried about July. I always said July is when.
Oh yeah,
the
it's
Mets,
way too early to get nervous. But Met fans, brother. I mean, come on.
I do know Met fans. I'm a Met fan.
They're not rational people.
Oh, and Yankee fans win the Sanity
Yankee
Award.
Fans are not such rational people either, but they're it's different levels. Met fans they love the doom and gloom and, oh my God, the sky is falling. Yankee fans they've become conditioned to success, and when that expectation isn't met, they just go out of their minds and they want to trade everybody and get a new team, and that's a different kind of irrationality that I certainly don't endorse or also don't live. But it's that's how both teams' fan bases are.
Right. Well, and I have no problem.
There's not a whole lot of sanity to either one of them.
And plus, it's New York, and there's a lot of media here. So, and then we have two full-time sports stations, and of course, shows like ours add to that also. So, there's a lot of focus on sports in New York, where in other parts of the country, you can probably get away with being not as good as you could be. So
I like to think we're at the top level of that bunch of attention, brother.
I would like to claim that, and I think we will.
I think you should. I think claim it.
I think so. Pete Alonso, man, the polar bear, man. You got to be liking what this guy's doing. I like him.
Hit a couple of bombs. Hit a bomb to end the game. Apparently, wasn't feeling well. Said he was sick and
sort of like you.
They were gonna, Buck was going to sit him. I don't know. He probably sounded better than I sound, but that's all right. But Buck was going to sit him, and Alonso was like, "Nah, I'm playing, man." And
of course he is.
I like that. I like that the polar bear was like, "Yeah, hey, I'm playing. I don't care if I'm sick. My job is baseball player. We got a baseball game. That's I'm doing my job. Good for Pete Alonso."
I agree. I think
so. And then hit a bomb.
Oh my God!
That's just an absolute bomb to end that game. That was an Aaron Judge home run.
That was a great home run.
Pete Alonso. I know Pete Alonso's won a home run competition as well, but man, he hit that thing like 460 or something.
Yeah, that could be. You know how they had the Tommy Agee marker in the upper left field at Old Shea Stadium? They had a marker where Agee. You don't remember, but I do. There was a marker where Agee had hit, where if it kept going, it was going to go like 500 feet. And
Tommy Agee.
I don't know if they saved it.
I mean, Tommy Agee wasn't Aaron Judge or Pete Alonso, but he could occasionally put a charge in one.
Yeah, but he was, he had his moments,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They're not going to retire his number, but they should put there should be a name recognition for a lot of these Mets. Maybe you don't retire the numbers, but a guy like Tommy Agee, a guy like Cleon Jones, a guy like even Ron Swoboda. Well, maybe not Ron Swoboda, but someone like
all of those guys. Their names are forever linked with the 69 Mets. You don't need to do another.
Maybe Dave Kingman, someone like that.
Dave King, come on, stop.
I love Dave Kingman. Tim, you did too.
I don't understand your fascination with mediocre ball players.
Because he was the Sky King, man. You remember that? The King, the Khan.
Yeah, I know. And I'll tell you what, Dave Kingman probably would have fit in with today's game
Oh,
more
definitely.
than he did when he was playing.
Definitely.
Because he was a 3-result kind of guy. In fact, I don't even know how many times he walked, but he was basically a 3-result guy way before it became fashionable. And the 3 results being either hit, strikeout, or walk.
Right.
I mean, in his case, it was more like home run, strikeout, or walk because he didn't get a whole lot of hits. I mean, the guy was he was barely a 200 hitter.
Yeah, I'm not saying otherwise, brother.
Yeah, let's not.
But I always liked him, growing up as a player, because he just had. I remembered in '83 when he was there, he hit a home run that, literally went into the parking lot. It was just, and I remember watching it.
He was capable of it.
I remember watching it because I was walking around the stadium, and I was trying to get back to where our friend Rob Tuck was sitting, and he's on the right-hand field side. I'd gone all the way to the left field, so I'm even with the foul line or the fair line, whatever you want to call it. And all of a sudden, okay, Kingman comes up. So I just stand there looking down the line. I go, okay, let's see if he gets it. Oh, it was just a great swing. It's just a beautiful, beautiful swing. But you're right. He was. You don't
in the
want
right place at Shea. You could get like a one bouncer into the parking lot.
Yeah. So anyway, so the Mets, 5 in a row is very good. They're now 25-23. Yes, they are behind the Atlanta Braves.
Which is not very good, but it's
well. I'll take anything over 500, brother.
Better, brother. Right now with the Mets, it feels better.
Yes, it does.
There was a few weeks there where you kind of were looking at this Mets team and saying, I know I was anyway. I'm like, this team cost what, 350 million or 350 or whatever $1 million. What the hell is wrong here? Like, they should be better than this. This is like, there's a lot of top free agents and a lot of very solid major league players. This should be a better team, and they just kept losing. And a lot of that is because the pitching has been subpar. The bullpen still is not as strong as it could be, but it is what it is with Diaz out for the season. And offensively, this was a pretty good team last year. It wasn't a great offensive team, but it was a good offensive team.
I agree.
And you got Francisco Lindor was hitting 210 or something. You're paying the guy $30-something million a year. He should be more than a 210 hitter. So
I agree.
You knew that all it was necessary was, for a lot of players to kind of go back to their career numbers, but a lot of them at the same time were hitting below their career numbers, and this was the result. The Mets were struggling.
Yeah, well, I right now I feel much better about the Mets than I did 2 weeks ago. So, I think that's important, and I think that's right now I'll live with it. They're 2 games over 500 right now. The Braves are playing hot, but I think they're going to cool off a little bit because every team does. Just like the Rays, they're starting to cool off a little bit too, brother. So. And the AL
Rays are starting to cool off because they're finally playing decent teams.
Well, that's part of cooling off, brother.
You can't play the Athletics, the Nationals, and the Tigers all season. Much as I wish the Yankees could, but you play them in their first 13 games of the year, and you're probably going to win at least 11 of them.
Yeah,
I said this before. Congratulations to the Rays on winning games that they should have won. And congratulations on the remarkable generosity of the schedule maker to give them the 3 worst teams in baseball to start the season.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. So I'm very happy. But you're right. But you got to win those bad games. The games that you were expecting. Those are the ones you have to win.
And we were saying that about the Mets. I mean, the Mets were splitting series with the Nationals, and I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you're giving games away. That's what the Mets were doing. If you're splitting a 4-game series with the National, you just gave 2 games away. That's gotta be either at worst 3-1.
Right.
At absolute worst. But you should be sweet. Like the Yankees. The Yankees just took 3 games from the Reds. The Reds are an inferior team. Yes, you take 3 in a row from them. You have to do that if you're going to be a contending team. And especially the Yankees right now, they still got a decent amount of ground to make up with the Rays and the Orioles. In fact, the Orioles coming to town tomorrow to start a series at Yankee Stadium. The Orioles in second place. They're playing like 660 ball.
Very important
Young
series
team,
coming
very
up,
young
brother.
team, but I kept saying it for years. Young team, but a team that was going to be around. This team is going to be around.
We have the audio tape somewhere. I agree,
Yes,
brother. You should say that. And at the same time, these are the type of games the Yankees sort of have to win, because this is where the Yankees have to make their move right now, really, because the AL East is.
I mean, I'm not going to I'm not going to sit here in the end of May and
but Timmy, but
a must win.
But the thing is, though, the AL East is the best division in baseball right now. So
undoubtedly.
So every time you play someone in your division, you better try to beat them hard. You can't give up and say, oh, well, we lost that one. You have to be on top of everything. You have to get to the ballpark an hour earlier, that type of attitude. So to me, especially when you're going to play the Rays and now they're playing the Orioles, you have to do it. You know what bothers me, brother? I hate
a lot
this.
of things bother you. Which one is this?
I'm sick of this early in the season playing, interdivisional baseball, so to speak.
You mean interleague?
Interleague, interdivisional, same thing.
No, it's not the same thing.
You know what I mean.
You mean like the Mets playing the Angels?
Yeah.
And you mean American League versus National League,
or Yankees playing the Reds. It's too early. I wish
I didn't mind playing the Reds this weekend.
I know because you won, but I wish
lots of W's.
I wish they made it more towards the middle of the season. It's just, and there's also too much of it now.
The problem is, brother,
it used to mean something.
And I'm sorry to cut you off, but the schedule has become more balanced this year. They're not playing divisional opponents 19 times anymore.
That's not good.
They want every team to play every team. They want it to be more like an NBA schedule. So that's the issue.
But the NBA plays one game at a time. They don't play a series, so that's the difference. But hey, if that's what they want to do,
I'll just chime in with this, brother. Just got word from the Cuz, DC Drew, who claims that the Nats are just lulling the rest of the division into a false sense of security.
Oh, really?
Which is completely false.
Is DC Drew, is he okay?
DC Drew making an appearance like that, huh?
Wow, DC Drew.
Yeah, no, that's false. I'll tell you what, the Nationals have some good prospects, and they're probably at least 4 years away.
That far away?
But that's only if. There's two ifs on that. One is a guy named Brady House,
right?
Who they drafted as a shortstop, but they've already moved to third base. And another guy is a kid by the name of Elijah Green, who is the son of an NFL tight end. And both of these guys, Green was drafted, I want to say last year. I think it was 5th overall. House was drafted, I want to say, I think it was like 6th overall 2 years before that. Both of them are Schwammies, so I know a lot about both of these guys.
Of course. We should say the Schwammies are your fantasy baseball team.
Good job, brother. Good promotion. Who, by the way, just moved up into 4th place yesterday. We're soaring right now.
Wow. I thought you guys were always in first every week.
No. We had a bad start. We're kind of like the Mets, but now we're soaring. So the Schwammies and the Mets are kind of mirroring each other right now.
We should call Uncle Steve.
But the issue with the Nationals, with both of those guys, Brady House and Elijah Green, both have superstar potential, but they both strike out a lot. So they're going to have to solve that problem. They have two pitchers who are developing still. Cade Cavalli is one of them. I forget the other guys, but they're in a similar situation to where the Orioles were about 4 years ago, except their prospects aren't as much of a sure thing as the Orioles guys were. So there's some boom or bust there. And the Nationals could wind up being really good, but it's going to be 2027.
I remember when DC Drew was a Yankee fan, brother. The Nationals have won over some of those Yankee fans down in D.C. and in Baltimore.
I mean, if you live there, brother, that's what you're going to see in the newspapers. That's what you're going to see on the news. You're not going to see the Yankees. So he's still a Yankee fan. I have faith in the kid. But
we also should say, brother, hello to cousin Corey, because he actually catches us on the podcast.
Does he? All right.
And we should get cousin Kevin on since the Commanders they've been officially sold, right? Or is that on its way yet?
It's official, but I don't think the deal has been finalized.
Okay, when
the announcement is out there, the word in DC is that the deal is done. But
when the deal is officially.
When you're talking $6 billion, it tends to take a while to actually finish everything.
When the deal is officially done, we should have cousin Kevin on. Because there'll be a party about Daniel Schneider leaving. There's going to be lots of parties in the D.C. area.
Cousin Dennis wants in on that too.
Yeah, I'm sure of that. Just put them on together. We'll just walk away. We'll say, okay, you guys take over the show.
Let them give them a 20-minute segment. We could just take a break or something.
Yeah, because they. It's funny how a team that was so well liked, the way the Redskins were, and now the Commanders are hated now by the same fans because of Daniel Schneider being a horrible, horrible owner.
Well, that's what I keep saying with the Dolans and the Knicks and the Rangers. This is why people wind up hating franchise. And was with the Mets with the Wilpons. There were a lot of people who hated them.
I know that.
And cousin Kev won't go to an Orioles game anymore because he hates the owner that much. He doesn't want to give him any money.
Yeah, Peter Angelo.
So I can't fault him for that. I mean, when the Yankees come to town, it would be nice to go to a game, but he won't do it because he doesn't want the Orioles to get any of his money because he hates their ownership so much.
Well,
but we'll see. And the Orioles, the key for their success going forward, they're going to have to sign some free agents. They're going to have to plug some holes where they have them, and that's going to take some time to figure out where and what. But they're going to have to go out and spend some money. And now they have enough of a team where a free agent will look twice and say, "Hey, good young team. Why not hook up with this and be a part of it?" So they could get a veteran to say, "Yeah, this is where I want to be because this is going to be a good team for the next 4 or 5 years." So I don't think Shohei Ohtani is going to go to Baltimore, and I don't think the Orioles would shell out the $50 million. It's going to take $50 million a year. It's going to take to get him, but I think that they should be players in this offseason coming in this winter for some of the better names and probably pitching wise. But we'll see how that goes, and we'll see if they actually spend the money.
Let's talk about more about the Yankees, brother. We've talked a lot about the Mets and a couple more things about the Yankees. Aaron Judge.
A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff happened with the Yankees. I mean,
Aaron Judge. You know what I love about Aaron Judge is his new way of hitting homers or hitting at least. He looks sideways with his eyes, and then he goes back and focuses on the pitcher. Now most people look at
the side eye.
Most people look at the pitcher, brother, not the use of side eyes, so maybe they can get the first base coach or someone in the dugout to give him a little hand signal.
Aaron Judge is so good, he doesn't need to look at the pitcher. That's how good he is.
Why don't you just close your eyes and hit it? The same thing.
You gotta have to look, brother. What if they're throwing at you? Which is a possibility with Aaron Judge soon. First of all, brother, Aaron Judge, without the side eye, was still the hottest hitter in baseball. All right, he before getting a day off yesterday. I don't know how you give the hottest hitter in baseball a day off. But Aaron Boone gave Judge a day off yesterday probably because of the 11:30 in the morning start. I don't know where that's coming from, but now all of a sudden we're getting baseball games starting before noon, which is dumb.
Well, that's a Sunday thing, brother, because they want people to watch it on brunch or maybe the way they watch football or something like that.
What football game starts at 11:30? None.
No, but they have the pregame shows in some places, and when we used to go out to Palm Springs to see Dad, the game started at 10 o'clock out there. So in the morning.
That's dumb too.
Well, I'm just saying.
Anyway, brother, Aaron Judge in his last 8 games had 7 home runs and 15 RBIs. I am fairly certain he will become the player of the month in May. But he just ever since he came off the injured list with the issue that he didn't even want to go on. He had I don't even remember what it was, but it's a little. I think it was a little oblique thing or something. He has just hit and continued to hit. Like I said, 7 home runs, 15 RBIs. He went 4 for 4 with 3 RBIs on Saturday and a 7-4 win. None of those 4 for 4 hits were home runs, by the way. So Aaron Judge just doing everything for the Yankees, overshadowing Anthony Rizzo, who I'm the only person I think who was disappointed with Anthony Rizzo last season, because here was a guy who, for the most part in his career, has been a pretty good hitter. And when I say hitter, that's a batting average thing that I'm talking about. Last year, Anthony Rizzo hit 220 something, and kind of papered over that with the fact that he hit about 20, I think it was 27 home runs and drove in 80 something runs. So from a production standpoint, he was close to his usual, but hitting 220 is, I'm sorry, it's trash. I don't care about the shift and everything else. You if you're a major league player and you're hitting 220, you're not having a good season. But Rizzo this year is batting 300, so you can say that some of his batting average issues were because of the shift, but he's been doing everything for this team, and he's been fantastic. And I am very glad now that the Yankees re-signed him, and re-signed him and his dog, because him and his dog were the ones that kind of helped Aaron Judge want to stay in town, as well as the $360 million over 9 years. But
I think it was the $360 million, brother.
What's that?
I think it was the $360 million.
Well, yeah, but there was the dogs too. There was like a whole friendship story with the dogs.
Yeah, okay.
But that was, I think Judge wanted to know that he was going to have a little help, because last year he didn't have a whole lot of help, and it's not that the Yankees got a whole bunch of offensive, a whole bunch of bats or new bats, but this year's offense already looks a little better than last year's, and Giancarlo Stanton has been out for most of the season, so he's starting to ramp it up, and hopefully is back in the next week or two. And all of these injuries that the Yankees have had to suffer through during April are starting to finally heal, and there's even a rumor that Carlos Rodon might actually start throwing soon. So that would be a miracle, but we'll see what happens there. But the Yankees, their issues recently have been more pitching related, and the whole thing with Domingo Germán, that didn't help, because now he's suspended for 10 games because of he was ejected for the sticky stuff, and Met fans know about that from Max Scherzer. So now the as far as I know, the only two pitchers who have been suspended for this stuff this season are both New York pitchers. And Clark Schmidt was told to wash his hands in his last start right after Germán was suspended. I don't even know what happened. They said they were trying to sell some sort of nonsense after the game that Schmidt wears a black glove, and because of the band on the wrist, like the glove has a band on the bottom, and they said that the band combined with his sweat was making like a sticky area on the back of his wrist. Come
on,
and I was
the
like,
sweat.
What's that? Come on, I don't even believe that.
The sweat doesn't cause stickiness.
Well,
unless there's stickiness there.
They made him wash that area, and I was just like, that sounds like, no, I'm not buying it. But
the guy's
whatever helps Clark Schmidt be a better pitcher, I'm all for, because he's been a disappointment. He's been a guy who Rodon's injury gave him the chance to say, hey, Yankees, yeah, I'm a legitimate major league pitcher. And for the most part, he has fumbled that chance because he has not been effective. But his last couple starts, he's been better. So who knows? Maybe he's learning something, or maybe he's figuring something out. I don't know. But, if Rodon gets back, to me, Schmidt's going to be the odd man out of the rotation, because Domingo Germán has pitched fairly well. And whether or not that's because of the sticky stuff, I have no idea. And I also need to look up what happens if he gets a second suspension. Is the suspension longer? I don't know. So that one I'm going to have to do a little research on, because that thought just crossed my mind right now. Also, big news for Yankee fans, those whiny people you were talking about before, brother.
I didn't say whiny.
Aaron Hicks.
I said arrogant.
The target of their wrath for more than a year now. Ever since the Yankees got rid of Joey Gallo, Aaron Hicks became their new target. But he has been designated for assignment, even though there's still about $27 million left on his contract. This day and this came because the Yankees actually wound up trading for an outfielder named Greg Allen, who Yankee fans should know because he was with the Yankees previously. But the Yankees actually had to send a prospect to the Boston Red Sox to get Greg Allen back. Now, Greg Allen he's speed, he's defense. He's a little bit. He gave the Yankees a little bit of a jolt. They had him in 2021, and he played well. He like I said, he gave him a little jolt when they needed it, when they had a lot of injuries and they needed players. But he played 15 games for the Yankees back then. I'm just looking at stats right now. Batted .270.
That's not bad.
Had 5 stolen bases in 15 games. So he was, he was a guy who made a little bit of a difference in the little bit of time that he was there. But let's hope that the teenage pitching prospect the Yankees sent to the Red Sox for Greg Allen doesn't turn out to be a star, because then it'll look like a really bad trade.
Yeah, well, that's sometimes a player leaves and they get better, brother. Anyway,
well, left field is a black hole for the Yankees, brother. It's been bad for a couple of years because they've given the job to Aaron Hicks. He did not perform at all. They gave him that, or I shouldn't even say they. Brian Cashman gave him a 7-year, $70 million contract 4 years ago, and he didn't. It was bad. It turned into a bad contract almost immediately because of injuries, because of lack of performance. And Aaron Hicks was batting somewhere in the neighborhood of 180 when they finally said, "All right, you know what? Enough. We can't do this anymore."
That's too bad.
And the only good thing that Aaron Hicks has done in the last 3 years is marry Tiger Woods' niece. That's it.
Wow, that's I guess a good thing. Anyway, brother, anything else about the Yankees before we take a break?
Let me just check my notes here, brother. We got Herman. We got the best record. Harrison Bader hit and Gleyber hit home runs yesterday. And Aaron Boone, brother. Aaron Boone was thrown out of yesterday's game in the first inning. And I said it immediately after it happened. He may be the first manager in Major League Baseball history to be ejected from a game before noon.
That could be.
It was the first inning. It was like 11:50 something, and Aaron Boone was getting ejected because of what was, I thought, a really terrible call. I'm not going to get into it because the Yankees wound up winning the game anyway. But I thought the umpires gave 3 bases on a play that they screwed up, and then gave the Reds a run and a man on third, which they never do.
Well,
you know how ground rule doubles work.
Yes, I do.
Everything is, send the guy back to third, and then the managers get mad because, hey, my guy would have scored. There's no way the guy would have scored. So bad call all around.
I think the people, the Elias baseball committee, Elias
Sports Bureau, brother.
Thank you. I couldn't remember the official name. They might want to just check to see, brother. You might be right. First manager kicked out before noon. Anyway, brother, we're going to take a break. You're listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC. If you have a comment or question, give us a call, 516-572-7440.
It's Big Ed inviting you to join me Mondays from 10 till noon for the Good Gold Show. We've got the greatest hits of all time, all your faves of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. A whole lot of fun, and we'll keep you informed. Plus, we'll take your requests and your dedications.
Playing favorites.
So join me Mondays from 10 till noon for Good Gold on 90.3 WHPC, available on the Odyssey, iHeart, and WHPC apps.
Wow. Okay.
Go.
Tell your friends about the Nassau Morning Madhouse. Hear what you're missing.
Check it out.
Check it out.
My mom used to take my video games away from me. I don't think she ever opens the box. So I would purposely just take the disc out. And she'd be like, where is it? I'm like, I just pointed. It's right there. Oh, you're right. You take 3. I don't need them. Yeah, no, I want to learn my lesson.
Does your mom know that now?
Well, yeah. She goes, you lost your game for another 2 weeks. I'm like, do me a favor, sweetheart. Go take a look in the box. SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. I put 09 in there. Like, I'm not playing 09. So it just looks the same. She opens it like it says SmackDown vs. That's all she cares. She's not looking at the date. Mom's a blonde Long Island lady. She kidding me? She barely knows what weather it is. When it's cold outside, she has to let everyone know. Oh, it's so cold. Like, you go to a diner, like, hi, oh my God, Happy Easter. Oh my, sorry, Ma, I love you, but, the way you park, that's another one. Oh, jeez.
Nassau Morning Madhouse. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9. On the voice of Nassau Community College.
90.3 WHPC.
you welcome Frank Sinatra.
Hi, I'm Glenn DeMille. Join me for 2 swinging hours of music and memories with Old Blue Eyes on Sinatra Serenade, Saturday nights at 6 on 90.3 WHPC.
I think it's about time, don't you?
.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Welcome back to From the Press Box, here every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We are part of the Sports Talk family, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., and also an additional Sports Talk show, 11 p.m. to midnight on Tuesdays. This show becomes a podcast later on, wherever you get podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, whatever. We're there. So look us up. We appreciate it. And just a little reminder here, everyone. Laws you should know every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Learn valuable information about the law from attorney Kenneth Landau and his expert guests concerning all areas of the law, including criminal, wills, and real estate. Find out about your right to sue and what to do if you are sued. That's Law You Should Know every Wednesday at 3 p.m. right here on 90.3 WHPC. Welcome back, and how you doing, brother? I'm Rob Leonard. He's Tim Leonard. And,
I'm good, brother.
That's good. I'm going to jump ahead on the topics, brother. I want to make sure we get in Jim Brown. He died this Thursday night at 87 in Los Angeles. Truly one of the greatest running backs of all time. Also, people forget this. He lived on Long Island, grew up on Long Island, went to Manhasset High School. Besides being a great football player there, he was maybe one of the best lacrosse players ever. He went to Syracuse after that. If there was a lacrosse league back then, there was a good chance he might have taken that too. You know, he could have probably done both.
He probably would have played both back then, because back then, football players weren't getting rich back then. So
right. So
he probably would have played both.
He quit the NFL after 9 seasons for an acting career. He's only 30. You know, I mean, he probably could have gone another 5 years.
Did you see the story about that?
Which one?
The why he quit? He was working on a movie. It might have been The Dirty Dozen. I didn't get all the details, but production was running over, and Brown was going to miss training camp, or at least parts of.
That's right.
Camp.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it was Art Modell was the owner back then, and threatened to fine Jim Brown and like take some of his contract money away or whatever. And Jim Brown was like, you know what, gave him a cart, man. Screw you guys, I'm going home. And said, that's it, I'm going to retire. Forget it. You don't worry about my contract. I'm done. And that made Art Modell one of the stupidest owners maybe in NFL history. Because Jim Brown's year before he retired, he put up huge numbers.
Right.
He was the leading rusher. I think it was the MVP of the league. But he was the dominant player in football. And then the next, because of the movie and because of this acrimony with Modell, he just said, all right, forget it. I'm done. I'm hanging it up. And he had said that he wanted to retire on top, so to speak. He didn't want to be a guy known for hanging on for a couple too many years, but he was clearly still the best running back in football when he retired. He could have played at least 2 or 3 more years at an elite level.
And the thing about
who knows
him
about being the best, but
right.
he would have been one of the best.
Well, the other thing that gets me is that when he announces his retirement at 30, he didn't come back. He could have came back the next season. There could have been a thing where the Browns, one of the things that Jim Brown had, if you screw him over about respect, more than anything else, really.
Yeah.
He walked. He did not care.
That's why he didn't come back.
Right.
He was done. Once he said that's it, I'm retired. That's it. In his mind, he was like, I'm done with football now.
Yep. So, we've lost Timothy. Anyway, Tim, we're gonna take a break right now. That we get Timothy back here. We'll be right back.
We now return to Everybody Loves Rain Man.
Yeah, definitely need to listen to the Radio Rumble.
Ray, I told you we can't listen to the Radio Rumble because you put the radio in the microwave.
Yeah, 90.3 WHPC, 12 p.m. on Saturdays. Definitely Saturdays at 12. Of course, I'm not wearing any underwear.
You're not wearing underwear?
The Radio Rumble, Saturdays at 12 on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
90.3 WHPC. Hold on a second here. We got Tim back on the phone now because we had him on Zoom. Hey, brother, how you doing?
Yeah, what happened? I was into a legendary spiel about Jim Brown.
Well, you know what happened was you froze, and it looked like you were like just eating some bad food.
Well,
if we had a picture,
from my end, you froze, brother.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're hoping that the internet is working. But anyway, let's get back to Jim Brown. He had a couple of things. He was an actor. He was an action hero in several movies. He was in 100 Rifles, where he gets to make out with Raquel Welch, which at that time was
enough for me to. That would be enough for me to quit football. I'll tell you that right now.
That was a huge thing in 1968 too. So that was like, wow. Here's the biggest sex symbol at the moment, and here's the still at that time the greatest football player at the time. So there was that. So that was part of it too. Let's see. Can we hear you, brother? Tim?
I don't know. You tell me. I think
Okay.
you have me muted.
Okay. No, I hear you. I hear you.
All right. Very
okay,
good.
good. Okay, we put you back on Zoom now. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. So, you know what movie he was in, which I really liked? He wasn't in the whole movie, but there was a thing of recognition that he gave just by his look on certain things. It was called Any Given Sunday. Oliver Stone movie.
Oh, yeah.
Jamie Foxx is in it, and there are scenes where
Pacino played the football. That was one of the few Pacino roles I didn't like.
Yeah, well, I liked it. It was a little over the top.
I didn't buy him as a coach at all.
Well, that's another thing, But the thing about it was, he would give looks like, yeah, this actually happened, or this could happen. He didn't say it because he didn't have a big role, but him being in the movie, I think, helped legitimize some of the things that Oliver Stone was trying to say about football in general.
Yeah, his presence in the film definitely gave it some credibility, and Jim Brown definitely had one of those one of those looks like mom has as a teacher. She gives you that hard stare, and that all right, that's it, it's over. Whatever I'm doing, I'm done with it.
Yeah, he had 12,000 yards, 12,312 yards for his career, 5.2 yards per carry. And, of course,
Which is sick, brothers. That's his average for his career, 5.2 yards. That's sick.
And, some of the footage they showed on the weekend involved Sam Huff, who, the Giants and the Browns were, big-time rivals at the time. And Sam Huff's job was to try to stop Jim Brown. So,
Poor Sam Huff.
Well, out of a lot of people on the Giants, he's probably the one to do it. But, the funny thing is you watch them tackle, they don't use their head, they use their bodies. They're not leaning in like darts, the way they tackle with their head and their shoulder, and then they get hurt.
Well, like back then they would you would tackle with the body and the legs, and like they would grab and act instead of trying to just propel themselves through somebody, like a lot of the tackling is today.
Yeah, and one thing Jim Brown did, which people don't know about as much anymore, but he also worked with the civil rights movement, which in the 60s was so important. He also organized what is known as the Cleveland Summit, which was a meeting of top black athletes, including Bill Russell, and then at that time it was Lou Alcindor, who of course became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and it was to support Muhammad Ali and the fact that Muhammad wouldn't go into the draft. So,
right, and had been suspended by boxing. I mean, Ali couldn't box for 3 years.
Yeah. So
because he was suspended, and that was 3 years of his prime.
Yep. So
So can't make any money.
Yep.
Can't do anything. All because he wouldn't go to Vietnam and because for religious reasons. And Ali at the famous press conference, said I ain't got no problem with the Viet Cong. So they want me to go kill him. I don't mind them.
Yeah, well, a lot of people felt that way too. So it wouldn't happen today the way it did then, just because everything seems almost too organized now. Everything has everyone has an agent, I think, or everything ever has an agent too. Also, one more thing that Jim Brown did, he would go into some of the gangs in Los Angeles and other places, and he would say, in Chicago, would say, "Hi, I'm Jim Brown. Maybe we can negotiate. Maybe you guys don't have to go at each other." And he's Jim Brown, but he's one of the few people who could do that. You can't send in anyone else because Jim Brown's a big guy. He can probably pound you anyway.
That's not why, but
that's part of it.
Jim Brown was very much a legend in the black community.
Yeah,
and he was a guy that he could talk to anybody because he was Jim Brown, and he was he was a Pro Bowler every year he played.
That's right.
He was an MVP 3 times. He was a guy who had universal respect as an athlete because he was so much better than anybody. I mean, who was it?
Oh, we lost him again. Anyway, let's take another break. We'll call Timmy on the phone, and we'll just play it for the rest of the night. Hold on.
Come on, everybody. Let's sing along with Bruce.
Join me, Kim Tracy, for the music of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band on Thunder Road, Sundays at 1 p.m. on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC and on the iHeartRadio app.
90.3 WHPC. And we'll be back with Timmy in just a second here. We switched phones. Are you there, brother?
I'm here, brother.
Okay, we'll just keep you on the phone for the rest of the night.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, the rest of the morning. Yes.
Yeah, why not? So anyway, so he was very respected by everyone, really. And one more thing, he started something called American, which helped disadvantaged inner city youth and ex-convicts. So that was like his thing, and that's what he did. So, he did a lot of things, man. And you know what happened when the Browns got sold in the 2012, I think it was. He wasn't connected with the Browns anymore. I read this online, and there was this. The story goes that the new owners came in, and the first thing they did was set up a dinner with Jim Brown and his wife, and they said, "We want you to be part of this team again in any way possible. We'll give you back your office. If you want to scout or whatever, you can do it. We'll help you with your charities." And for the last 10 years, he was the guy back with the Cleveland Browns. So
yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Whether they put a number on him.
That goes. Yeah, I was going to say that goes back to the history of your franchise being important, and Steve Cohen has recognized that with the Mets, and the Islanders owners have shown that that's been the case since they came in. That. You can't just turn your back on your own history,
right?
And especially when your history includes, one of arguably the greatest player to ever play in the NFL.
You really can't.
Why turn your back on that?
Imagine he had 17 games to play then. How many more yards would he ran? And he reminds me a lot of like a Mike Bossy in many ways. And Mike Bossy retired at 30 for different reasons. But he reminds
injuries.
He was very well respected, and both Bossy and Jim Brown. So and also what the Browns did to him when they sort of threw him to the side, it's sort of what the Islanders did to Brian Trotty, but now they brought him back. Trotty all this season has a book he put out, and he had a lot of book signings at the UBS Arena which they didn't really announce, but he would be there. He'd say, hey, buy the book and we'll sign it or take a picture or whatever. So they definitely brought him back, which you have to. I mean, he's one of the greatest centers of all times. But getting back to Jim Brown, he's from Manhasset. People forget that. He played at Manhasset High School.
You know what? I didn't know, bro. He was actually born in Georgia.
Right.
And then he moved up to Manhasset when he was very young. His mother apparently worked as a domestic. And he knew where he was. He knew that Manhasset was a money place. But there were a lot of people in Manhasset who helped him become who he became. And it wasn't as much a difference with the whole socioeconomic thing, because there were people in the town who were willing to help him and help him develop his athletic ability and kind of sent him on the path to become the person he became.
Yeah, and he's always been very he's always remembered the people. Newsday every 5 or 6 years used to do an article about him, and they always mention the coaches in Manhasset. And there was a story, our friend of the show, John Valenti, posted on Facebook. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I did. It was very good. I like the story about the whole interview process.
Yeah,
I don't know if you read that part, but Valenti actually called. He was telling the story on Facebook. He said he called Jim Brown because he was doing a story on the Thorpe Award,
right?
Which is given every year to the best football player in Nassau County, and he wanted to talk to Jim Brown about it. And Jim Brown was famous for just basically cursing out reporters and telling them to go screw themselves. And Brown gave Valenti that kind of treatment. And he was like, I don't want to talk to you. Just go screw yourself. And Valenti, instead of, Brown was like, don't bother me, whatever. And Valenti, to his credit, instead of, cowering and say, oh, I'm so sorry and blah, blah, blah. And he just said, you know what, Jim, screw you. I don't need you to write this story. I was just, wanted to get a couple of quotes from you, wanted to talk to you, see what kind of memories you had. But fine, if you're going to be a jerk, then fine. I don't need you. And according to him, Brown just kind of laughed and, kind of took pause for a couple seconds and said, all right, what do you want to talk about? And then they wound up talking for, it was like, I don't know, an hour and a half or whatever.
But sometimes
you have a great story.
Sometimes when you're dealing with someone who puts a little wall up, sometimes you have to hit that right back at him, and then they realize, okay, he can take what I'm about to give, and that's part of it. Some
exactly.
people
That's what it was all about with him.
Sometimes people can't say that. Quickly, brother, let's get to the NBA. Both the Nuggets and the Heat, surprisingly, are winning 3-0 over their teams. The Heat are demolishing the Celtics, and the Nuggets are beating up on the Lakers. And
did you watch that game last night with the Heat and the Celtics, brother?
I saw a little bit of it. Scary how bad they were playing.
The Celtics embarrassed themselves.
Oh, my God.
It was embarrassing. It was so embarrassing that Magic Johnson put out a tweet about the Celtics and said, in all the 44 years I've been connected with the NBA, I've never seen the Celtics team quit.
No.
Can you imagine Magic Johnson tweeting that about the Celtics?
No, I can't.
That's how horrible the Celtics were last night.
I would say if it came from Larry Bird or Kevin McHale, they might have a little more.
They're not going to rip their own organization. I mean, they're
not. But
money from the Celtics.
But coming from them, it would actually be hurtful more or harmful more or whatever word you want to use. So.
Well, Magic Johnson is a really big name in the NBA still. And
yes,
I couldn't believe it when I saw that. And even after the game, Shaq was ripping the Celtics. Barkley was ripping the Celtics. Kenny Smith probably would have ripped us out. I thought Kenny Smith was very much a passenger last night on the show. But, I mean, the Celtics were awful last night. I couldn't believe how bad that game was and how quickly it got completely out of control.
Right.
And it wasn't even so much Jimmy Butler as it was Gabe Vincent. I don't even know who Gabe Vincent is. The guy scored 29 points last night.
Well, the funny thing, brother, is going to be is if they both win 4 in a row, they're not going to move up the games. They're all set because of the TV stuff. So,
here's the thing that they might. I don't know, brother. I got to double check that.
I don't think
because
so.
they said last night, and this was something that most fans don't even think about. Is they were talking about how the scouts normally would have, that you'd figure you'd have 6 or 7 games to prepare for the next round for the finals. And now with both teams at leading 3-0, that it kind of accelerates that process because you pretty much know at this point who you're playing.
Yeah, well, that's
and we're
true.
going to have a Heat Nuggets final, which was the final I wanted to see.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where we are right now. It's the NBA conference finals have really kind of been proving that the NHL playoffs are still far better than the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. It's
because Matthew Tkachuk scored with 13 seconds left in the fourth overtime. 4 overtimes, brother, to give the Florida Panthers a 3-2 win over the Carolina Hurricanes in Game 1. You think either one of those teams quit? No,
you
4
can't.
overtimes.
No, you can't.
Crazy.
Anyway, just reminding you, brother, your WHPC weather forecast powered by Pantano's with 4 Long Island locations, Pantano's Gourmet in Hewlett and Uniondale, and Pantano's Does Bagels in Garden City Park, and now open at 197 Atlantic Avenue this afternoon. It's going to be really nice. It's going to be 75 degrees. It's going to be sunny. Great weather to cut your lawn. And tonight, it's going to be low about 59. And tomorrow, another fine day, about the same as today. Sunny, and it's going to be like 73 instead of 75. So anyway, currently outside of our studios at Nassau Community College, it is currently 70 degrees. Anyway, brother, we're just about done. Big Ed is here, ready.
I do want to say quickly, brother.
Hurry up.
Quickly, Brianna Stewart in her home debut for the New York Liberty, a franchise record 45 points in a 90-73 win. And I also want to say welcome back, Brittany Griner.
Good. Glad she's back. I think she'll be standing for the what is it?
What, the anthem? Don't count on it.
Yeah, well, she should.
Don't count on it, brother.
She should.
Let's not get into that, brother.
I know that, but she
That's
should
a
be.
really bad subject to bring up.
I know that, but she,
Manchester City also clinched the Premier League title, brother, because Arsenal bottled the title. So
okay, well, she should stand.
To Manchester City.
She should be kissing the ground every day.
To Manchester City for having Arsenal bottle the title to them.
Okay, well, they
Oil
hate
money
each
wins
other.
again. Oil money wins again.
That's what it always will be, brother. Buy stock in your oil companies. Anyway, my name is Rob Leonard. Thank you for listening. He is Tim Leonard. He thanks you for listening, too. We'll see you next Monday. This show becomes a podcast later on. Thank you for listening. Take care, and bye-bye.
The views expressed on air are not necessarily those of WHPC, its management, or Nassau Community College. Responsible opposing viewpoints will be considered by emailing them to whpc@ncc.edu or by mail at WHPC 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York 11530. Thanks for listening to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.